All right. Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Tapcaf Transmissions, the only Star Wars podcast that reschedules multiple times a week. I'm Corey, joined as always by Justin, Mr. Eckhart's Ladder. How are you doing today, Justin?
Good. That one might be true. I think we got to like our rescheduling per 60 has got to be highest in the league for sure.
Yeah. Anytime we say we're going to do something on Wednesdays, it ends up getting pushed back. But I mean, I was not doing well yesterday, so
Yeah.
it
So
had to happen.
you had like seasonal allergies?
I think so. Dana and I painted one of our rooms on the weekend, and I think we just did a terrible job with vacuuming after we sanded. So I think we just killed ourselves with that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, that's definitely not ideal.
No.
I'm just checking. I think my stream might have. I think we're back up. I think my
You're
stream.
good? Okay.
I think it crashed for a second. Sorry. So you basically like poisoned yourself, is what I understand.
Pretty much. And then I was just sneezing the whole time. It was disgusting. Not good podcast material.
No.
But we have today's topic. We have the Acolyte as our main topic, episodes 1 and 2. But there was also the release of Star Wars Hunters yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago now, alongside the Acolyte. So before we do any of the Acolyte talk, anything you want to say about Star Wars Hunters?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Not as much, I think, as like some people are. But like it's not, it seems pretty for a mobile game. It seems pretty fairly made. The controls are pretty good. I got no major complaints. I've been playing.
I mean,
it
you
on
thought
my
you'd
phone.
hate it, so this is a big upgrade for your original
I
position.
said multiple times, not playing it.
Yeah.
Not playing it.
And we're gonna be playing it tonight, so look what you did.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's a great game, but I think it's a decent game, and it's all we have in this genre for Star Wars. Like for any kind of real multiplayer, like jump into the action kind of deal right now, which is kind of sad, but I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, I'm like, I've never played like Overwatch, but I mean, I understand it's basically like a shooting MOBA. So I enjoy it from that perspective. I'd really like it on PC, I think, because the controls obviously are kind of one of the big drawbacks. I haven't played it on Switch yet though, and I've heard it's good. So
yeah, the only concern with Switch is like Nintendo's online service is trash. Like it's trying to play Mario Kart or something, not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be playing some Hunters tonight. Me, you, some of our other friends. So we'll talk about how much we like or hate it by the end of that. I'm really curious how it'll be once you have like a full squad communicating, like how the gameplay will be there, because usually that's where those games are the most fun. So that'll be kind of where it's made or broken for me.
Yeah, it's a bit. I was a little surprised. Like they need more communication built in. Like they don't have a ping system. At least I don't think so. And there's no mini map as well. And I don't know. Like, have you noticed what? Like, I've only played like 3 games against people. Do you find it doesn't seem to be too like 3-lane like MOBA style? Is it like map layout?
No, it's not that kind of. It's like it is more Overwatch style than League.
Yeah.
Where like map control is definitely going to be a big part of it, but I don't think the maps are big enough that they need mini maps for it, because I think that's a lot of like screen space is at such a premium in a mobile game
for sure.
So like it'd be better if it was on a different platform, not made by Zynga, but I mean it's decent at doing what it does, so it's all we got to work with right now.
Yeah. So that's all we got until Star Wars Outlaws, Hunters Outlaws.
Soon. And that's just going to be single player. So
yeah. So who knows when the next multiplayer game will be?
There's nothing even announced for multiplayer right now, which is real sad. So we've got a couple single players announced.
One of the strategy games. Well, I mean, we've only really had the one strategy game confirmed, but presumably one of those will be multiplayer.
Yeah. But that's still like multiplayer in RTS or a turn-based strategy is a bit different from like the squadron style stuff that we really liked, or what this could be at its most fun. But Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the
Well,
Acolyte?
hold on before we get into
Okay.
that,
Okay.
because we do sometimes cover tangentially Halo news. The
Oh,
big
right.
rumor that's been going around today, and I actually checked in with a few people in the know, and they said they've heard it
It's
too.
real.
Is
Okay.
that and The Verge reported, and The Verge is a pretty serious. Apparently, The Verge's headline says Microsoft in early stages of working on a remaster of Halo Combat Evolved and is considering it on PS5. So
Right.
I would love that. I understand like a lot of people are kind of they don't care because there was a remake, but it really didn't do it for me. Halo CEA really didn't do it for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I assume this will be more of a proper remake than a remaster. Although the title does say remaster.
It just seems like it's so fast that they're turning around with like remasters or re-releases of Halo. Like being on the PlayStation would obviously be a big jump for them, but I mean, I've never owned a PlayStation, so that doesn't mean too much to me. Anytime I've
Mhm.
played PlayStation stuff, it's been like my cousin had one or something, so I didn't need.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, I think it'd be exciting. I assume it would be more than just a re-release single player campaign with some graphical touch-ups. I'm guessing they'd probably be making the game in a new engine, maybe even.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that'd be exciting.
all right. Well, we'll talk about that in like 2028 if it comes out.
Yeah, it'll be a minute.
All right. Well, we have the first two episodes of The Acolyte out now. I don't know why I was thinking it was going to be 6 episodes. It's going to be 8 episodes.
8. Yeah.
But yeah. So, general overall thoughts before we jump into anything too specific here.
I want to start with the pre-release stuff. Um,
Okay.
because I feel like one of the downsides I think of the Acolyte, the first two episodes, was that almost nothing was surprising.
Hmm.
Just fix my camera a little bit. I feel like almost nothing was surprising. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too tuned in to like the news and the speculation. Um, it seemed like there was like the show premiered late last month. There's been a lot of chatter about it, good and bad. Obviously, you know, typically, typically the people who go like it are big Star Wars fans, and that's not me implying that they're that they're giving good reviews for coverage, because I actually don't think that's the case. It's just it happens to be the big Star Wars fans generally like it. And then the day of release, the first few reviews from publications were super negative, and then a bunch of really good reviews came in. So it's kind of an interesting lead up, I guess. I I just wish there was more of a. I don't like the social media review
Yeah.
embargo time. Even when I'm the one doing it, and I've often been the one giving it, I don't like it. I think to me it just feels like you can say something nice about it right now, but nothing else. Um, yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've kind of found it annoying with the some of the previews that were like the 4 episodes already,
yeah,
where some of the people who either were given access or have access will respond to like this is not most of like the major publications or bigger channels that have it. This is mostly people who have found it through other means where like anything that there is to speculate about, they'll just like pop up in comment sections being like, oh, we'll see about that. I happen to do like you're not being subtle. You're just kind
yeah,
of like everyone knows what you mean when you like I said something about the show being good, like something that will probably appeal more to families than some other shows. And like someone came in like, oh well, we'll see you blah, blah, blah. And it's
yeah. That's
they gave like
obnoxious.
more specific information than they really should have been, and I just wish they would stop doing that.
Was that a person who had read like a leak, or a person who had seen the episodes?
Uh, they seem to be claiming to have seen the episodes. It might have just been leaks, but I tried not to pay too much attention to their comment
Yeah,
because, like, even before the release of the show, like I wasn't paying as much attention to some of the last trailers and such because I was feeling like a lot of the trailers were giving away a lot,
yeah, I agree.
at least about the
Also,
earlier
full
parts of the
spoilers if
episodes.
you're listening or watching. Or
Yeah.
like, we're gonna be talking full spoilers. Like
Yes.
In Dara, for example, it seemed pretty clear that she was not making it out of that first fight.
Yeah. Like, so that part didn't really surprise me. Like, I think a lot of people were on the twin situation,
Yep.
which, like, I think the trailers that I had seen had mostly shown May. So as soon as like Asha showed up, I was like, oh well, that's probably like a twin situation. So like I watched your review and you were talking about how there was like not that big mystery yet to pull you in.
Mhm.
And well, I do agree with that. I think that there's enough there with the Sith, like potential Sith of like, is that the apprentice? How much does May know about what she's actually doing? What's her training been? Like, what's the full extent of that training? And like, if he is a Sith, does May know that he's a Sith? Like, does she really know what she's involved with here?
Yeah. Well, and that's something Alex said. He said, like, I will say, I totally agree with your point. And like Alex, for example, is someone who does a really good job of walking the line between like saying enough to like give a review, because he saw all 4 episodes. He
Hmm.
saw enough to talk, but not like so many people. And I know I've said this before. We've talked about this before. So many people are in the advanced review copy or the review game just so they can tell other people that they've got something that nobody else has.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sure I've done that before too, where like, and it's hard because sometimes you're genuinely excited. Like I remember when I first played Star Wars Squadrons, I was really excited about that. Um, so like I get it, but like people are starting to like I just find people are ruining things. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't know, like I feel like maybe things are going out too widely, or maybe there's like a not enough kind of crackdown, but maybe I'm also just jealous because we're off the list now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure what happened with that because, like, it just seems like they switched how they're doing the previews for it and compiled a new list of something. Because, like, I'm still getting screeners for Marvel stuff, even though I was added for Star Wars, and
Well,
then
I
they
gotta
just
take.
like
I don't get that either. I don't get Marvel ones
I was
either.
getting it at the same time that like
I
the
got
Bad Batch was coming
X-Men
out.
was the
So
last one.
yeah, and that
So
was
like
around the same time that Marvel or
it
yeah,
is kind of frustrating because like I don't care about going to. I don't really want to go to. I mean, I'd like to check out Lucasfilm, but like I wouldn't have went on this trip right now because I've got a baby, and but like not having the screeners kind of just makes our jobs a lot more difficult because we've got to prepare content like the day of.
yeah,
Um and so it's frustrating when like I actually emailed them again and I was like, hey, can I like just like it's kind of my job. And the lady was like, yeah, I have no idea who you are. And I looked at my inbox. She'd messaged like emailed me like probably 15 different times. And they're still sending me like the emails like with the the exclusive red carpet pictures of the
yeah.
Acolyte screening. Like, okay, I just want to see it. Like
Like I think the system that works best is when they do for like any reviewer when they keep it to like 1 week ahead of what's going to happen.
yeah.
Because like I feel like there is too much information that's going around and they're relying a bit too much on like people being able to control themselves and not leak this stuff. And like I preferred when the leaks that were going out with some of the other shows were still very much in the air of like, is this bullshit or not? Rather than knowing there's all this concrete information out there that I have to very specifically avoid engaging with parts of the community where like
Mhm.
I sometimes enjoy reading because I know that it's going to be like someone's speculation
Yeah,
that
exactly.
is just like a synopsis of an episode that they've been given basically.
Yeah. And it's also like when you've got a 8 episode long season, 4 episodes, that's half of the show,
Yeah.
half the season anyway.
They did the
So
same thing with the Bad Batch this
yeah.
season, which they
I
didn't do
think they did
before.
the Bad Batch. They actually did all the way up to the finale because they did a second set of screeners on
Yeah.
it.
It's too much being like Bad Batch together there, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sure
Which is
some people
probably
find
not
this
the most
conversation.
interesting to anyone else
Yeah,
to hear.
yeah. But let's talk about the Acolyte. So we've got 2 episodes. The first, the episode titles are kind of playing on the twin aspect. The first is
Mhm.
Lost slash Found. The second is Revenge slash Justice.
Justice.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun. Like
So
I
what was your
thought,
kind of thought? Yeah, give me your elevator review on the show.
like I went in thinking I'd enjoy the show, and I enjoyed it about as much as I thought I would. Like I particularly think that the characters have been good. Kind of the same things that I liked about the Bad Batch almost. Uh, I think like overall the show looks pretty good as long as you're watching it on a TV and not on your computer, where Disney Plus just decides to give you the uh like the grainiest thing ever.
Yeah,
But
why did it look so bad on computers? Because I had
I
that
really
same
don't
issue.
know. I don't know if it's just something that every Disney Plus show would have on your computer and I just don't notice it normally, but like I watched like when I was actually watching the episodes, I watched it on my TV and it looked great. But then when I was like either like looking through for specific things to rewatch specific parts or like to write my review, it was like it was distractingly grainy and like swirling graininess. It wasn't just that it was
Yeah.
lower resolution. It was like it was weird. Uh
Yeah, because I saw the fight scene because I saw the Phantom Menace in theater, as I mentioned, and I just noticed it looked a lot better. I mean,
yeah.
obviously, it looked better in theater than it would on my computer screen, but it
Yeah.
looked like the difference was like not just the image quality; it was everything. So, I definitely want to give it a rewatch on my TV.
But yeah. Like I think Master Soul is like a pretty compelling character. Like I like the kind of contrast with his being more compassionate to like every other Jedi seems to be getting to the point where they're more detached. And I think especially Yord is kind of more about the like the more pompous like status of the Jedi rather than
Yeah, he's
like
a bit of a
actually
nerd.
doing the things they're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And I think like Amanda Stenberg has done a great job in both of her roles. And I think that's a pretty solid basis for the show. Like I think her performance in particular has kind of stood out. I did the opening with Carrie Ann Moss. I there were parts of that where I enjoyed the action. I don't know if it'll land for everyone because it is a bit more reminiscent of like 70s to 80s martial arts movies.
Mhm.
So like because they're doing like the monk style fighting without instead of being with lightsabers yet because May doesn't have one.
Yeah,
But
they literally
like
used the sound effect from The Matrix as well, like the
yeah.
woo. Oh, yeah.
But like I her referring to May as like my child. It
Yeah,
was like, okay, that was a little strange. But
yeah.
after that, I was more fully in.
Yeah, I didn't have too much issue with the performances. I thought they were good. Um, I see, I don't usually get into this, but like I see all the conversation about wokeness. Like even if you are gonna play that game, what was woke in the first 2 episodes? Like I don't think there were any gay people. Like there were women, but like
It's
I
such a
like
nonsense fucking like it's not even worth engaging with, honestly. Like it's
because
such a
like
stupid fucking complaint.
yeah, I mean I don't get it. It's
I
just
don't I don't even want like I'm done with even giving the fucking half credence of like, oh well, how do we engage with the point they're actually making? Because they're not fucking making a point. Like there's the video going around that some people are putting forward, like Amanda Stenberg on the Daily Show 6 years ago talking about the hate you give, where she says it's about like the goal was to make white people cry because it was a fucking movie about like a black youth getting shot by cops and like it's a sad story. People are supposed to cry by that, and it's getting passed around of like, oh look, they're
about
trying to
the
be they're so
Acolyte.
anti fucking like fuck that,
Remember,
so dumb.
remember that happened with the director. It was like about making men uncomfortable, and she
Yeah,
wasn't talking about
Charmin.
yeah, Charmin.
It was the exact same situation. She was
She
talking
wasn't
about like
talking about
female genital
men in
mutilation.
like her Star Wars project. She was talking about like men in like I forget it was it India, like
It was
patriarchal
the I think Pakistan. She did like
Pakistan, where there's like
a
honor killings and
documentary.
shit. She's like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
about making because it's about yeah, that was one of the most insane. Like that was when I kind of lost faith in like people being able to have an intelligent conversation.
Yeah, like people have been saying like, "Oh, it's the woke show" for fucking months before they ever saw it. Like none of the people who started saying that started saying it after they saw the show. It was immediately out there when people saw the cast. It's
Yeah.
like the least good faith argument that could possibly be made.
Yeah. I like that one tweet going around how it was like Marxist propaganda. Like, I don't understand what's Marxist about it, but I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, we'll move on. But it's just exhausting. Like, these show like Star Wars is so fucking like, and I'm just gonna say it. Star Wars is so politically fucking neutered. Like,
Hmm.
it's like over the past 10 years, except for shows like Andor, really. Like, you look at the politics of the sequel trilogy versus the politics of the prequel trilogy, and
Hmm.
there's like nothing fucking happening.
Yeah.
Like, you yeah.
It's so much more overt in the prequels. Like I did a video about like the specific political references in the prequel trilogy, and there was so much bending over backwards to say, well, actually, it's not. It's universal themes when it's referring directly to Newt Gingrich rather than being like
Yeah.
in episode 4. One of the first things you see is droids going into the bar, and George Lucas has always said, like even in his more recent comments of like the real oppressed people in Star Wars are the droids. They go into the bar and they're told they're not welcome there, which is like this is 12 years after civil rights legislation had finished, basically. And it wasn't subtle that this is what was being discussed back then.
Well, I mean, you also pointed out that like all the CIS leadership is named after Republican
Yeah,
politicians or some Democrats as well, I'm sure, but
yeah.
like
Chris
it's
Dodd was, yeah.
yeah. So I just yeah, like Star Wars has not done really anything interesting politically aside from Andor. And I'll even say, maybe this is controversial, but Andor's politics aren't exactly complicated either,
No.
where it's like authoritarianism is bad, rejecting that is good. Like, yeah, for sure. Little acts of rebellion, definitely good. Where like even the prequels, there's George Lucas is saying a lot more about like corporatism and decadence and yeah.
Yeah, like he was writing it after, like he was writing it within a week of the midterms in 94 that
Hmm.
he actually started writing The Phantom Menace. So like it was basically saying that corporations had taken over the country. But
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. It's just I don't get it. It's just like there's and the thing is there's a lot of real complaints to make about the show. So like
sure,
I'm not super hot on it right now. I'd say I'm for me it's coming in like below Ahsoka. And
sure.
my main issue, I really liked Ahsoka up until the finale though. But I think my issues are more about like some of this like sometimes it feels too much like we're not in Star Wars, we're in a Star Wars theme park. Um
Yeah, I can see that with like the way some of the sets feel and that kind of thing.
like the ship especially. I was like, okay, it doesn't feel like we're in Star Wars. It feels like we're in like the Imaginarium's like Galaxy Edge Star Wars spaceship, which is kind of like Star Wars distilled down to its corporate aspects. And then I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but like it's just like okay, it almost is like they have a formula where it's like okay, the door needs to be this shape, this needs to look like this needs to look like that. Um, and like the cruiser especially, the design of the ship itself looked great. The inside looked a bit off. Um, the other elements like the Jedi Temple I thought looked good. The place where they have the first fight is meh. Um, so it's that to me was like, and that kind of takes me out of it. Like we talked a bit about the lighting and the look of it. I do want to give it another shot as well.
Hmm.
Like I want to watch it on my TV, given like what everyone's been saying. But that's kind of been my issue. But even then, there's still some pretty interesting aspects. Like really like the chair droids. That was a pretty fun moment.
Those creeped me out. I don't know. It
Yeah,
just it.
yeah.
I don't know what it felt like. There was something that it reminded me of, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Where it just seemed like, are the chairs getting off on this? I don't know if I want to sit on this chair's face.
Wow. Yeah. And it's like, and you never know because it just looks like a chair when it's in chair mode. It's like, why is my chair moaning when every time I hit the hyperspace lever?
Did the chair just activate the vibrate feature on its own?
Um, yeah. So I like the fight scenes. Those are good. I There were a few just aspects that I was like I think May or not May, Osha has like 4 moments in the first 2 episodes where she's startled awoke from a slumber.
Mhm.
So like things like that,
That's
and
what they mean by saying the show is woke.
yeah, she's literally waking up all the time. And same with the at the end where the end of the second episode where they play the whole, "Oh, did she or didn't she murder the Jedi again?" And thankfully, Yord kind of, hand
Yeah,
waves that
I
away.
wasn't ready for like that. Just felt like it would be too much of like we already covered this within the last episode or two. We don't need to do it again.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, other than that, like I'm definitely enjoying it. And the most compelling aspect to me is definitely kind of the Sith element. Um, Obviously, it's we're meant to think that Kimir, however you say his name, is the her master, who's probably the Sith apprentice. So there's probably one more Sith above him. Because I mean, it very clearly shows us she tries to attack him, and he like completely deflects her. He seems to have a hatred for Jedi. Do you think that's misdirection, or is that legit?
I don't know, like it because like if there is a reveal to the identity of the Sith, and that's probably like one of the big reveals of the show, and it does feel like it's a little obvious if that ends up being what it is.
Yeah.
So, like, I think he's definitely more involved than he seems to be, but whether he'll end up being that like the Sith apprentice right now, I'm not 100% sold on it. I'm kind of 50-50.
It's just like, can you imagine that one scene where they have him in custody and they're like, "You can go if you tell us." Like,
But like I think the one of the weaker parts of the show for me, at least in the first episode, was like the part at the end, like between the crash and like Soul kind of pulling her off the edge. The pacing just felt really off in that. Because like I think part of it gets back to something you've talked about a bit with like the format of the Disney Plus shows
I mean, I've talked
where
about
they
nonstop
are
and been
yeah.
really obnoxious about. Yeah.
We're like, yeah, the 8 episode movie kind of deal where they're kind of covering the plot of a movie, but then it's a bit more expanded for the show. But then you get some of these sections where they're moving through stuff really quickly in a way that doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily land. And I think like going from finding out the ship had crashed to connecting with her, that almost felt like that in a regular show would be a whole episode where like you're getting to know Jackie and Soul and Yord a bit more, and you're seeing more of what Asha's dealing with. But instead, it was like a 2 minute sequence, maybe, of like they hear about it, they get on the ship, they're off, they're walking through a cave, and then there she is. And it feels a bit weird with the timing.
Right. So, like in a proper TV show, you don't jump into the main story right away. Like you talk about, the greats, Sopranos, Breaking Bad doesn't start with I don't even remember what the last villain of Breaking Bad is. But Breaking Bad doesn't start with Walt looking like serving Gus, for example. It
Right.
starts with like you need to have time where your characters aren't in the most imminent peril that they'll ever face to get to know them. Like ideally, episodes 1 and 2 of a show like this would be just our Jedi out on some adventure. Um,
Yeah.
but because of like how little time they have, we've got 8 episodes that are 30 to 40 minutes long. Where like we need a lot more time. Andor, for example, gave us that like a ton more time.
Yeah.
Like the other shows wouldn't have had time for the Andor prison arc. They wouldn't have time for the Aldani arc, and that's where we meet and really learn about our characters.
Yeah, like I one of the things that I'm kind of worried about with Andor season 2 is that it is kind of uh it's what, 4 different arcs that are separated by a year each or something, or like there's time jumps between the episodes. So I'm kind of worried that it's going to end up being like feeling a bit more rushed in that way than Andor season 1 was
Right.
able to.
Yeah.
But that's why
Yeah.
we need like a Star Wars sitcom. That's really what we're looking for, right?
Yeah. It unironically, yes. Um yeah, I don't know. It's just like they got to slow down. Like you need time to have your characters. It's like if everything is always at level 10 like of intensity, it means nothing. You need your characters at level 1 or 2 or 3 for a bit. You need to meet them when they're in their normal stage of life. So once they are put into these stressful situations, it means something. Now I'm not saying you can't do things like killing Indara because I think that's an interesting way to start the series, especially it seems like she's going to be present in flashbacks. Um, but they gotta split things up a little bit.
I don't know. I feel like even like 10 episode seasons or 12
Sure.
episode seasons would be a
Yeah,
little bit better,
for sure.
but I think 6 is definitely too few. 8 is like just on the edge of where you end up like if you try to put a bit too much in, you end up with some weird pacing.
Yep.
And like I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with shows of the length of like Ahsoka or even this. But I think it is more difficult when it's characters you're being introduced to for the first time.
Mhm.
So I think that is also part of why people would have different reactions to Ahsoka if they were Rebels fans versus if they were just coming in to Ahsoka having seen like none of that. Where like Ahsoka, we already knew who a lot of these characters were, so you didn't need the same build up. But we are kind of like just thrown into a lot of these characters in Acolyte at this kind of peak moment for them, like you're saying.
Yeah, no. Ahsoka Ahsoka worked for me, and I think you're right because it is largely you got the characters established, but also like Mando season 1 worked for me because the plot it was telling was not ambitious. Um,
Yeah. Well,
and
it was
like
just two characters, realistically. Like you
yeah,
had Kara and Grief thrown in occasionally, but they were pretty long episodes, and it was primarily just the two characters, very little dialogue.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Like
Just weird.
the uh I think Yord is kind of a good example here where it feels like unless he dies, then he probably has a character arc or probably needs a character arc where he gets like brought away from the stuffiness a little bit, where
Mhm.
he stops just kind of thinking he's above everyone for being a Jedi or whatever, and stops like pulling out his lightsaber at every possible moment because like that seems to be a follow up on what like Carrie Moss said. Uh, but like it's hard to do that when you have kind of an ensemble cast. Like we have clearly Osha and May as like the leads along with Soul, but like a lot of these characters, Vernestra and you kind of expect to have some kind of an arc to them, and that's
Mhm.
difficult to get that many characters get that much development in 8 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. So I think like so for Star Wars shows, they got Skeleton Crew, in this format. I don't know if we know how many episodes that will be, but I don't think we're going to see too many more shows like this. Um,
Mhm.
like I think the tides are turning, not just for Star Wars, but especially for Marvel, where they've kind of acknowledged it, and we did too much. Um, where they wanted to get content on the platform, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a bigger thing with streaming in general,
Mhm.
where like I think reality shows are where streaming is still like kind of chugging along how networks thought it would. But for a lot of the scripted stuff, it ended up being more expensive Like I think we'll still get like Ahsoka season 2, Acolyte season 2, that kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah, no, I agree.
But I don't think they're really looking to expand the slate of shows like they were before. It seems like they're moving back to movies right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And like I just think of some other shows too. Like think of other streaming shows, and I was in hindsight, I was expecting that Stranger Things would have had more episodes per season, but you know, season 1, 8 episodes,
Yeah.
and they made it work. So yeah,
Yeah, like I don't think it fundamentally can't, but especially when you're not sure how many seasons you're getting in a show. Like they were like if you look at Stranger Things, like all the characters in the main group did get a lot of focus, but that was spread out between different seasons. Like I think Will's the one that's in the upside down the whole of season 1.
mhm.
And then like you only had like 2 people kind of get that focus, and then season 2 you get the other 2. So it's not I think it is a bit different of a situation.
Yeah, um, yeah. I don't know. So, any big takeaways from episode 1 in particular?
No, I think it was good setup for the characters. Really like Soul, really like both of Amanda's characters, so I think that was kind of the big things from there.
Yeah, Soul seems to be a standout. And
I
I like his apprentice as well.
Yeah,
She's fun. A little
Jackie.
silly. Jackie, yeah, she's a little silly.
Yeah,
She's
she
like
seems to be like
really
riding the line between Yord and Soul and which direction she's gonna end up going. But
um
the one
yeah,
thing we haven't really talked about from the first episode is ships and stuff. Because we did get new ships. And my first thought seeing seeing
Trade Federation ship?
the Trade Federation ship was that you were gonna hate it.
Really? How come?
Because I thought it was more reminiscent of like the Scythe class, like the Legacy era ships.
I
So I
mean, I
thought you
love the
really wouldn't like
design.
it.
I like okay, so for the Scythe, is it a stupid design? Like looking at it objectively, yes. Do I love I also think it's really cool.
Okay, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah. So I like the Scythe. I like most of the GAs. I even like the Tri Scythe or whatever.
Yeah.
The
I guess some of your complaints go away if it doesn't have to shoot things, which this one doesn't.
yeah.
The weapons don't have to be arranged along the hammerhead, but
Yeah. Um yeah, no, I even the Scythe, like you know, if it's not your main battleship, I think it makes sense. Like use it
yeah,
and just ram it down the enemy's throat. But no, I
kinky.
like the ship and I like how the long beam or it's not a long beam,
Vector.
the vector is it's clearly not the vector. Like it's
Yeah.
clearly had some pretty major changes, but the design language is similar enough that
It
you
looked
can
like a
tell.
mix between the Vector
And the
and the Arc
long beam
170.
or the Arc 170, yeah, that
Yeah.
too. Well, it's
Which
kind of like been switched around a bit because like the vector has, if I'm the vector has like those two long tails almost, and the new vector it's kind of in the front.
yeah, it's good. Well, the original Vector had like the 2 prongs at the front as well. It's just those are kind of like strapped to the cockpit now too.
Yeah, I'm
But we
trying to.
just had like the Living Force saying that the Arc 8 was in the High Republic area as well, so having some convergent design there makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, they did mention it. Um, I was trying to like it's funny because I recorded the episode while I was watching, like I was recording it with OBS, and I was just doing like a screen recording.
Right.
And when the Republic robots show up, you can see me like go to my folder full of Star Wars books and like pull up the new Essential Guide to Droids. I was like, that looks quite a bit like
Like the
one droid model, but
Legionnaires?
I couldn't put my finger on it.
It's kind of like the jetpack ones from the
Yeah,
older wars.
yeah, that's what I came to as well.
Yeah. I don't know why all these droids need such tight glutes.
They just they can't be moving too much.
Someone's manually going in on all those plates and like
It's like
hammering that out. Like
oh
what are we doing?
I did the stupidest thing ever. I was building a play set for my kids out in the backyard. And it was a cost well, it was big Costco play sets. I know I sent you a picture. But
Yeah.
it was like I looked at the package is like with 3 people, it said 10 to 12-hour job. So I was like, fuck me. This was all my Saturday. I get to the very last, literally the last bolt, and my family is completely fucking done. Like they're not doing it anymore. And I've got 2 socket wrenches. I'm holding the bolt in place or the nut in place, and I'm holding the bolt. And I'm fucking giving her. Like just really giving her. And the socket wrench comes off the bolt side, and I smack myself straight in the face. And this, I was tightening the last bolt as hard as I could. Comes off, smack myself straight in the face. If it had been half an inch lower, I would have shattered probably 4 teeth. But yeah, I hit myself right here. That's why I've got a bit of a mustache because I can't shave it because there's a cut, and like the whole side of my lip just completely swollen. So, not
Only you
I.
had a nice droid chair to hug you and make it better.
Yeah, this thing doesn't quite do that.
Ouch.
Yeah. And yeah, also the droids probably should not be able to be hacked like that.
No. That seems like something they should have known was a potential issue going in. And like maybe just don't have it all be these guard droids for someone that you know just kill or someone that you think just killed a Jedi Master and can use the Force.
You know what
Like
the
where was
hacker
her face parasite?
the hacker guy, he looks a lot like you ever see that theory that Dengar's been like
Rothgar Dang?
yeah,
Yeah.
he looked a lot like him.
Yeah, he looks like that, but also if someone made Lobot but was like, what if we shoved this in his mouth instead?
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem convenient.
What if Lobot was dumb?
They have to have better things to control people than or to like knock people out than putting like a face hugger on for the gym.
Yeah, I didn't like that part. I thought that was kind of dumb.
That was weird. I thought
That
that
was
was Glenn
something
Howerton
like
at first, actually.
because that would be like something that Saw would do. Because like
Yeah.
Saw doesn't have technology. He's got like a fucking brain amoeba.
You just reached and pulled something out of your new aquarium.
Yeah, here I got it up here.
Oh, we get a live on stream show, the aquarium.
You know what? Hold on one second. Let me go get it.
My desk is too gross to show my fresh aquarium right now, but
Oh, my foot's asleep. I almost just hold on one second. I gotta wake this bad boy up.
that's not important for podcasting.
No, it's not. It's not at all. Oh, she's heavy.
I did like seeing the Jedi have more of those outposts that we've kind of seen in the High Republic books, and that they're kind of sad about closing during the Living Force. Like we're probably just at the point now in Acolyte where some of those are starting to close. So maybe after this breach of security by the same person in 2 days, this one's probably not going to be long for this world.
Trying to see if I got anything gnarly in here.
In there, you can show us.
Let's see.
It's going to be great for the audio podcast, but
Oh, buddy, there's a lot of critters in here. We got.
Did you just like reach in and just scoop up some water with all that, or was there any effort?
What I did, I'm gonna put this here and move it for sure before I start drinking. So what I did is I went to the swampiest area. I took my hand. I'm not even joking. I took my hand. I just shoved it as deep into the mud as I could, and I fucking Murphy's here. And I just tossed it. I just tossed it into the bottom of the thing, and then I got like clear water from the lake and put that in as well.
Okay.
Let's see. What do we got in here? So we got. I mean, moving it around. Oh yeah, we got on the side right there. You can see a leech. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
You got a leech there. Oh, look, it's moving. Yeah. Leech. And then if you look into the, I posted a video on Twitter. If you look into like the substrate on the bottom, there's worms everywhere. just like an insane amount of worms. So yeah,
Like you're gonna have some eggs in there for stuff, and it's just gonna be
there's a
unheard of amounts of life.
look, there's a snail
It's a
up there.
big jar of the force.
Yeah. So what I want to do, I want to get a bigger jar, and I want to get more muck. Right,
The muck is key.
the
You
muck is key.
you might need like some LED lights for. That's the one thing you need to make sure you are providing, so it
Well,
doesn't.
see, that's what I was wondering. Because if I wanted to get sun, it can get sun. I'll just put it on my deck.
Yeah,
Because like right where it is now, it'll get a good 10 hours a day of
yeah. I
indirect.
mean, it's
Because I don't
if
want to.
it's
I
that
don't
close
want
to
to.
the window, then yeah, that'll
Yeah, so it'll
also.
be right next to the window there. Right
Yeah,
next
I
to
like it as long as there's some sunlight coming in.
Oh yeah,
That's what you need. But do
yeah.
you have any thoughts about potential cameos that we might see if any characters are going to show up? Because we know a few Jedi counselors are alive right now. We already had Vernestra.
So I just missed. I actually got 2 super chats from Josh, who said he actually kind of had questions right on that point. Could any of these Jedi become part of the Lost 20? Was question 1. And then question 2 was Yord ends up being Ki-Adi-Mundi's master, right? Which I'm kind of wondering what's the Yord Ki-Adi-Mundi connection.
Have they established Coyote's age in New Canon?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't show born.
It's died. That's it. Rip.
Coyote Mundi died?
I mean, he'd be about that age. Well, no, maybe.
Well, if
I guess
Yord makes it through 1 or 2 more, like he's probably what, 30?
I don't think he's that old.
You don't think so? Like Jecky's
Yeah,
like maybe a little bit younger. Because
I feel like
Asha's
Jackie's
like
supposed to be like
25.
16.
Yeah, but like he's got his own Padawan, not Jackie, Tassie, and
Shrimp
like
cam. Just keep talking.
you're kind of old by the time you stop being a Padawan most of the time, right?
Yeah, because Qui-Gon's in his early 20s, right?
Qui-Gon's in his early
Or I
20s.
mean
Obi-Wan,
Obi-Wan when Qui-Gon dies.
Liam Neeson does not look that. But yeah.
Liam
Obi-Wan,
Neeson
I think, is
his
like
pants in his early
21 or
20s.
something. Hey, how old is Charlie Barnett? This could be a good clue. Thanks, Google. You've really given me
Google
great
sucks.
information about John J. York.
Yeah, man,
He's 36, so I think he's probably meant to be playing around his own age.
Is he really that old?
He's probably meant to be playing around 30, but he does not look 36.
No, he's very lean.
Yeah, if anyone's gonna leave the order, like we've got the Barash Vow Jedi already from that's another High Republic.
Oh, so he
colony.
was for sure scratched by Kelnaka, right?
I hadn't considered
That's
that.
my theory. That's my. You didn't notice his eye?
I noticed he was scarred. I didn't make any connection with Kelnaka.
So I think Kelnaka is going to be a Mad Claw. I think that's why he's on his own.
Well, I don't know. Because I think Tormund is supposed to be. That's his name, Tormund.
So we don't know what happened. Something happened with all these Jedi.
Yeah.
And Kelnaka was involved, and Tormund wasn't. We know Kelnaka was involved because he's the next target.
Yeah, like we know those 4 were involved because they are her targets. But it seems like.
So I think something really sketchy happened.
Yeah, and now I mean that's why he was willing to drink the poison, and that's why he took the Barash Vow.
And I think that's why that led to whether like he's a Mad Claw who needs to be separated, like it was in. I mean, that's a Wookiee thing, not a Jedi thing.
Yeah,
but yeah. So my guess is that it's so bad that they came to blows over it.
Maybe like I can see that, but I wouldn't. I think it's more likely if they go that route that like they have Barash Vow for Tordmund, and then Kalnaka is more on the Wayseeker kind of deal rather than saying he's insane. But
No, I don't think he's insane. I think isn't Mad Claws just
just
because
dishonored, I guess.
yeah,
But
I don't think he's insane. I think maybe he's a little loopy having been alone, but I definitely think
Tormund, sorry.
I definitely think he scratched the dude though. That's my theory.
Yeah, I think that's a valid theory, a viable one.
Okay. Um,
I'm kind of sad that it
I
ended up
kind of
not
wonder
being
whether
Buryaga, but it's okay.
I kind of wonder because it could be because they live a long time. I wonder whether the Jedi tried to kill May. Like I don't know
Intentionally
if they're gonna
so.
go for like a forced dyad thing, but like I kind of wonder whether it's gonna be like, yeah, she's really bad news. Let's get her done.
Yeah, I mean that would be. It's got to be something bad enough that that like Kalnaka went off in the middle of nowhere and Torben decided to not talk to anyone for 10 years or
Yeah,
for 25
yeah. So I mean, it's possible
or
that
two.
that she was killed accidentally, but like, or that not killed accidentally, that the fire they keep alluding to is started accidentally, but like, what if it was on purpose? What the fuck is that?
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be like outright murder attempt or if it's more like cover up. Like the Jedi, they didn't have a record of May, right? That was part of the thing where like Soul
Yep.
knew about her, the Jedi didn't. Like Vernestra didn't at all.
Yeah, well, it's because she was assumed dead, so they
Yeah.
just she's gone. I'm never swimming again.
Was that a common
So many
swimming place
fucking
for you?
leeches in there. I've swam in that lake before.
That's gross. Yeah, not great. I don't know.
Why aren't
Do you think
Chewbacca's alive
Kalmaka
yet?
gets offed, or do you think he's gonna live after
Well,
this?
we see the what's her name has his lightsaber. Someone pointed that out today on Twitter.
Who does? May?
Um, no, the little girl, not little girl,
Jackie?
Yord's apprentice, Jackie. Because there's a scene in one of the trailers where she's fighting the Sith with two lightsabers, which
Well, that could happen where he gets killed by uh
oh, you're wondering specifically whether she's going to take him out.
yeah, in this upcoming confrontation. Like I hadn't seen that, but
Yeah, because they're both headed in the same direction. They're both headed there, right?
yeah.
Well, actually, he's supposed to go back to Coruscant. Soul's supposed to go back to Coruscant to have
Yeah.
to meet the committee. I'm not a committee, but yeah, that's a good question. I mean, she
Like
might.
she's got two more targets, Kelnaka and Soul. She has to kill someone without a weapon. I would personally count the poison as not a weapon, but
Well, that's the thing,
fine.
and like I think she's going to tell her master that she did it without a weapon, right? Um, because remember she tells what's his name not to say anything. Which like
Yeah.
if he's a Sith Lord, if he is the Sith Lord, he's probably totally cool with that because you know you can't like he says you can't fight the Jedi and the Sith are supposed to be in hiding, so whatever.
Yeah. I mean, did do you think he was just doing a maul at the end of Solo when he turned on his lightsaber, or was it like setting up for some sparring or something?
Use it or lose it. You gotta turn her on and you gotta twiddle the dials every once in a while, or else it stops working.
Like if yeah, I'd believe that from Yord, but like what's the Sith guy doing with it? It's just
He doesn't get to use it much. You gotta keep that thing under wraps. Do you think that they're trying to make it now? I'm thinking specifically of Ahsoka, where they had orange lightsabers, and even in Jedi Survivor, when what's his name bleeds his lightsaber, it's not really a pure red. Did you notice that? It's like more of an orange. I kind of wonder whether they're trying to make red be exclusively a Sith thing. Now, obviously, it doesn't quite work with like you go back to Asajj, she's got red lightsabers, but like do you think they're trying to make red exclusively a Sith thing? I guess there's the Inquisitors too, but their lightsabers are supposed to be artificial, I
bled
believe.
or yeah. But even then, like Asajj is a Sith acolyte. Like she's
That's true.
Dooku's apprentice in waiting. Like Kylo Ren would be really the outlier there, but
Yeah,
even
that's
like
true.
he's trying to be Vader,
Yeah.
so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I just kind of I was wondering if that was the purpose of that scene for the like obviously yeah you're asking about like why was he doing it for the
it's a little ostentatious.
yeah but like for the viewer do you think that's supposed to confirm that because one thing that I find is interesting is that the Jedi don't immediately jump to Sith with her training and even the like opening crawl implies that there could be other
Yeah.
groups just kind of raw dog in the Force on their own.
Well, like Plagueis in Legends had pretty explicit like
Yeah.
there were people pretending to be Sith. There were like people trying to be Sith that just weren't as good at it to actually make themselves like a true Sith threat.
And just
I
other
don't know what
dark
the
characters.
distinction there is. There's like regular dark side users. Uh, and like, is it because we know that Yoda finds out about the rule of two at some point,
Yeah, that's
and
always been like really questionable because like they're supposed to be gone. The rule of two, like, is supposed to be they're gone.
yeah,
Like that's part of the rule of two is they're in hiding. So, but I mean that's also going off the Bane stuff from Legends, which
yeah. But like the Yoda knows about that. Coyote Mundi is the one who says that the Sith have been extinct for millennia. So it could be a situation where like they deal with this, they think it's done, and then like Yoda, Oppo, Yaddle, and Urael know more than they're letting on because
I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think the Jedi are ever going to figure out that um that they were actually dealing with a Sith Lord in the show, assuming they were.
yeah. I don't think everyone who faces them is gonna be killed, but I do think like there is the option like the options are basically everyone dies. There's some kind of cover up of like we thought we dealt with this and we hadn't, or they never get quite enough information out of this situation to know for sure what they're dealing with.
I just don't think Yoda, who is I don't know if he's Grandmaster at this point. Maybe either he's a master. I
Yeah.
don't think Yoda can have any encounter with a Sith. I don't think
No,
Yoda,
I don't think we're
or
going
I
like
don't think
above
Yoda can even
Vernestra.
think that the Jedi had an encounter. Like I don't think Yoda can be aware that the Sith existed during his lifetime.
I don't know that I'd go like
Just watching the Phantom Menace again, like I don't think the Sith should have been a threat in Yoda's life. Like to me, that's kind of a line too far because like they're supposed to be
maybe.
gone. Um, yeah, like I don't think like in Yoda's learning, I just don't think that Yoda should be aware that the Sith were a threat in his life.
Okay. I think that is like the most difficult needle to
I'm
thread here
gonna
for
look
the
at the
show, and
script for
with
the
the
Phantom Menace actually, just while we're talking, because I'm kind of curious what exactly he says, like the exact words. It's just
I'll
like
look up the episode 3 script while you're doing that to get the council meeting as well.
even just from outside of my like the exact words, my um just kind of my reading of the Sith was just that Yoda didn't he wouldn't be. I just don't think Yoda would be involved in a cover up or a hand waving away the
Sure.
issue or anything like that. All right, so I'll just read some of the pertinent sections. Um, so the first time the Sith are mentioned, or the first time the Sith are mentioned around Yoda, Qui-Gon said, "My only conclusion can be that it was a Sith Lord." Mace Windu says, "A Sith Lord." Ki-Adi says, "Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium." And Yoda says, "The very Republic is threatened if involved the Sith were." Mace says, "I do not believe they could have returned without us knowing." Um, which I guess nothing, and to be fair, nothing about that you know, I guess really backs up my thoughts in particular. But
Yeah, Coyote is the one that has the strongest notion there.
yeah, look for any more
Like,
references.
Yoda is the least doubtful of what Qui-Gon is saying in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other ones that are alive don't say anything.
Yeah, I suppose. I don't know. I just think that the Sith should be in hiding.
I don't like I think they don't, or they can't leave the series knowing the Sith are still out there. I can see it working with some of the Jedi having some knowledge that they dealt with someone who had a connection to the Sith, thought they dealt with it, and then that's kind of where that leaves off.
I think some Jedi can. I just don't think Yoda can.
I don't necessarily think Yoda has to be or will be involved. But I think we'll probably get a Yoda.
Joel says that line doesn't actually appear in the movie as well. Are you sure you're looking at the right one, Joel? I'm talking about the one where he meets Qui-Gon, not at Qui-Gon's funeral.
Yeah, this is the council meeting that we're looking at.
Yeah.
But
because yeah, during the it's the only two there are that's
that's the funeral.
Okay, he says it doesn't happen during the council meeting. Okay. I'll take a look again. I'm sure you're right. The scripts always are a little different. Okay.
But I mean, Coyote Mondays is the definitive statement there, and that's really what's being contended with in any situation of like how close can they get to that, or how close will they get to that before it's bending things a bit too much.
Yeah.
Like
I think George Lucas intended, and I'm not someone who follows George Lucas's word on everything, but I do think it's important how he portrayed the relationship between the Jedi and the Sith. And I do think he intended it to be, this was their first open discovery, even by Yoda. But whether that matters to you or not, chat is, and dear listeners, is subjective.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it wouldn't be the first time that something like that gets changed. So
no,
there's like, who knows how much that gets stuck to. There's ways you can stick within that framework and have some of them know. There's ways you can have some of them know that don't stick within that framework and do contradict the movie. So it's,
as Marmar says, underwear should have never been canonized.
Yeah, that's
when they wake up in Andor post-coital, bitch should have been out. Bitch should have been out.
Yeah.
Wieners and whatever women have. I'm not familiar with that yet.
No idea how your kids got. They just showed up one day.
Yeah, they just popped. I woke up after playing Halo 3 all night, and they were there. And yeah, George Lucas definitely did change.
Almost everything.
Lots of things himself. But I do like I do really like the element of they've been fully in hiding for 1,000 years, so long that they're thought extinct, and they come out.
Yeah. Like, it could be the extent of what the Jedi end up learning is that, like, there was a dude that they had a red lightsaber, and they were a problem.
Yes, exactly.
Because, like, one thing that the Phantom Menace does clearly support is that they don't jump to this must be a Sith if they see a red lightsaber, or else they wouldn't have even had that conversation. Like, they wouldn't have doubted Qui-Gon at all.
Because Qui-Gon sees a red. That's 100% correct. Qui-Gon sees a red lightsaber. I talked about how if Dagan Gera had not gone into freezing, there's a very good chance that he would have, the exact same thing that would have happened. Obviously, he gets pissed because the Empire falls, but like he was pretty fuming over like the Nihil destroying his goon lair that he had made on Tanalorr. Like he had the goon cave on Tanalorr. Like he had all his anime there. He had his pillar
Him and
there.
Oppo Rancisis got pretty rancid in that cave.
He had just great stuff there. Deny he'll destroy it. He had a really good N64 collection. Gone. So he was ready to turn to the dark side. And had he turned to the dark side in the High Republic or the Old Republic era and turned his lightsaber red, they wouldn't have thought he was a Sith Lord.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that is a potential problem with your like red versus orange
It is.
distinction, as like red is only Sith.
It
Because
is,
like
yeah.
that would kind of contradict everything we're saying right here. And then the conversation in episode 1 would have been less interesting, because it would have been like Coyote saying, "Did you get a good look at the RGB values of the lightsaber? Because if there's even one blue or green,
Somebody,
that means
Yoda, grab the pen, grab the dropper tool, grab the dropper tool. What's the RGB values?
it's sepia filtered. It's sepia filtered. We can't know."
255. Oh my god! Convene the council. I don't know what the RGB values for red are, but
25500.
is that it?
Well, that'd be pure red.
Yeah. So I knew enough to at least get that.
I mean, there's still like some philosophical debate about like, when does red stop being red? Like pink is red, but pink is pink. So how red is red before you get to pink? Like it's
I really like.
This is what the Jedi spend most
the
of
other
their
thing
time
about the
talking
lightsabers is the majority of them, the inside's white. But Gabrielle has a really good point. Is this kill without a weapon, or like the stealing of the lightsaber? Is that about bleeding a crystal? You think? Is that why she keeps trying to? Because they've definitely made a point. Every fight, she's like trying to. It's like me when I get pulled over and I'm tired of dealing with police officers. Me when I see the cop with a gun and I've just had enough.
I think it's I think that's usually happened after she's given up on killing without a weapon in
Yeah,
those.
it has.
Like the only kind of rationale that I can think of where like that would count as killing without a weapon, but like the poison wouldn't, or throwing the knife at her wouldn't, or would, is like if the expectation is that she kills with the force directly.
I think she's got multiple weekly challenges on her battle pass, and one is kill a
What's the
Jedi with their own
achievement? Yeah.
lightsaber. So like I think she's always trying to do that one because that's like the weekly challenge. She's got like kill a Jedi with their own lightsaber. That's the weekly challenge. So like if she can do that, she's always going to do that. But then it's like kill a Jedi with no weapons. That's a daily. Kill a Jedi just anyway. That's a daily. And then it's like add a friend on Steam. It's like
Darth microtransaction is her master.
Yeah, it's like she can reload the challenge, but she's got to like I don't know, do something.
All right. Well, any other elements of the episode we haven't touched on that we should before?
We've talked about a lot of really dumb stuff.
I think we talked about all the important stuff, actually.
Yeah. No, I think we'll get Yoda. I think Yoda will be in it, and will it be Frank Oz?
If Yoda's there, I think it is Frank Oz. I think we're getting at least one of the 4 council members in some kind of scene. I don't think they'll play any significant role in this season.
Yeah, and if it's like it'll be Oppo Rancisis, nobody will give a fuck except for like we'll be clapping like Oppo Rancisis is a fucking freak, by the way.
He's gotta be set up for when he comes back in Jedi 3. Like he is the only living council member, or the only potential living council member by Endor.
And he's a freak.
Yeah.
That tail.
He was in that goon cave on Tanalorr.
Yeah, I know he was. Because they only reveal it at the very end when you get to Tanalorr, right?
Yeah, you have to like go out of your way to find the memory or the echo, and then you have Liam O'Brien's beautiful Oppo voice.
Garbo Toxins, great name by the way, says Oppo Rancisis is such a gross freak. I love him.
Man, after your own heart.
I mean, and yes, I think they did say no prequel Jedi or no Yoda, but like they said no Obi-Wan show. They said no Qui-Gon in the Obi-Wan show. They said
like I don't think any active role goes to anyone in the Order above Vernestra. Like I think she is the Jedi authority that we're getting in this season.
You think so?
But like there's an outside shot of a council meeting or something.
Well, I mean, we're gonna have a council meeting next week, probably.
Yeah.
Or I think Saul's going to skip out on a council meeting anyway. But I also think, because of how fucking obnoxious people have been, if Yoda were in it next week, we'd already know. Somebody would have fucking said
Yeah.
something.
If he was in the first 4 episodes, then it would be all over the place right now.
Yeah, like Star Wars. I mean, I'm trying to make up a name of a podcast, but I'm just almost saying too many podcasts that actually exist. Like Star Wars Riz Lords would have like with their 300 listeners would have got for some reason the first 8 episodes, and they would have said something.
The Riz Lords being Oppo Rancisis and a guest every week.
Oppo Rancisis in his fucking freak physiology, his disgusting body.
The microphone set up for his and Yarel Poof's podcast would be insane.
Yeah, that's true. and yeah,
the sight lines on those cameras just don't work.
Yeah, it's just insane neck action.
All right, well, if you guys want to get some insane neck action tonight, we'll be streaming Star Wars Hunters in about 10 minutes on youtube.com/.
I can guarantee nobody playing Star Wars Hunters tonight, not just on our just across the world, is getting neck action tonight.
Yep.
If you're playing the Star Wars Overwatch clone on your phone tonight, neck action's not the cards. It's just not. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and the further away you are from playing on a Nintendo Switch, the less likely the neck action is. If you play one game on your Nintendo Switch, possible. If you're on your computers downloading BlueStacks, emulating Android, playing 10 games a night, it's not happening. I'm sorry, but it's not.
You're lucky for like a forearm action.
Yeah. From yourself.
All right, well, we'll be back next week talking about episode
We're going to play some Star Wars Hunters now.
It'll be fun. But we'll be back for Star Wars The Acolyte, episode 3, I don't know what the title of it's going to be. I don't think they've announced it. And we will be doing Destiny's Way someday. Are we doing Destiny's Way next week?
Next week or the week after, I'm not sure.
Next week would be perfect for me. So if we can actually read Destiny's Way, we'll have Wednesday the Acolyte episode, Thursday.
The only thing is that will be Stanley Cup final time.
It's not going to be over by then. I thought
Stanley
it was
Cup
done already.
final, the latest. No, you see, this is so fucking dumb. Like, get me started on this, I beg. No, the Stanley Cup second round ended on, I think it was Monday. The first game is on the 8th. They took 5 days off. And there's 2 days between each game.
Yeah,
the Stanley Cup final could be awarded on the 17th on a Monday. Because to be fair, the finals between Edmonton and Florida, it's the furthest Stanley Cup final matchup between modern NHL teams. But that's also part of it. Like, it's supposed to be a grind. It ended Sunday, apparently. It's actually insane. Get me started on it, I beg.
All right. So, fine. We're definitely talking about the Acolyte on the 12th and the 19th. But then either the 13th or the 20th, you better believe we're finally talking about Destiny's Way. And then 2 weeks after that, we're talking about Temptation of the Force.
Yep.
And if you want to spend $2,500 on the worst possible tickets to one of the Stanley Cup final games, that's an option. It's probably like $5,000 by now. Ridiculous.
Yeah, you're not getting anything. Oh, one of the fucking leeches just raw dog swimming up, not even on the side. He's just suspended in the water with his disgusting fucking Oppo Rancisis body.
I mean, that's the aquarium life you chose.
I bet you the Republic, they got to grow those little mouth leeches somewhere.
Yeah, well, they're very Yuzon Vong, actually. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Not very great for them.
No.
But thank you for listening. Enjoy your week. Watch some Hunters if you want.
Somebody said in the chat, just before we leave, said they just put the Acolyte streaming numbers out, and it was like, they said it was like 4.5 million, and like I don't even have any I feel like they just lie about the numbers. but like they're not going to say the numbers if they're bad. Yeah, because there's like they don't have to. Oh yeah, Disney Plus's newest series, it just came out from Variety. The Acolyte reached 4.8 million views. This marks the biggest series premiere of 2024 thus far. Like, what does that even mean? What was? Because the Ahsoka was
like 6, maybe it was around the same. Like Mandalorian was the highest at like 12, I think. Obi-Wan
Mandalorian's
was at like
massive. Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
But I don't remember enough. I think Andor was like the lowest at 2.2 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's all for me. That's all for you too, I think. So,
Yep. All right. See some of you in like 5 to 10 minutes. Bye.
bye.